Surprise! I'm back. You guys, I went and looked at that live video and realized that the audio was not pulling from where I had selected because I switched over from my phone to my Mac. So it ended up just turning on the mic in my Mac, and then it was catching anytime the jets flew over, it would drown out my voice so you couldn't hear the book. So I thought, okay, there's no point in keeping that recording. We're going to do this again. This time I plugged my mic into my Mac and I'm just going to do it from here. I think I mentioned earlier, I never do videos through my Mac. I prefer to use my iPhone. It just has way better quality. So we'll put up with this quality. I think it's okay. And I think it's a lot better than the recording I did earlier. I think this will be much better. So we're going to go for a round two with chapter 2 today. So if you're confused, this is why. But for those of you who didn't see that, don't even worry about it. You're hearing this for the first time. And for those of you who come on later and find this, no problem there either. So here we go, round 2 for chapter 2. This chapter is called The Special Message. Here we go. It was an April afternoon, and I was at an eyelash fill appointment when I had my great awakening. My friend and neighbor, Liz, said to me, "You know, so many people think that you have the most perfect life." A little surprised, I said, "Shows how little they know." She clarified, "I think it's because you're always smiling. You just seem so happy, and they take that as proof that you must have a perfect life." This dumbfounded me. I'm the type of person who uses a smile to portray all of my emotions. I smile when I'm upset, I smile when I'm nervous, and I smile when I'm embarrassed. I even smile when I'm annoyed. A problem, you might think, when you are given the nickname Minnie Martha Stewart by your friends, and one of your neighbors thinks your husband owns the company that he works at. Not sure how that one was mistaken. And your entire Facebook network speculates that you are on Oprah's guest list. Then it's time to find a better way of expressing your inward emotions. As I stewed over that thought for the next couple of days, it just didn't sit well with me, knowing that people had such a distorted image about my life. I wanted to do something about it, but I didn't know what. It wasn't until a few days later that my epiphany came. Great ideas always happen in the shower. Do any of you relate? For me, it's the shower or the car. Or at least that's been my experience. I was in the middle of washing my hair one morning when the light bulb came on. I began to think about all of my, quote, almost there moments in life that I had now deemed as failures. There seem to be so many. If I could just get people to understand that I am normal, just like everyone else. I am successful at trying new ideas, but never successful at getting the result that I want. I pondered on this some more as I reached for the conditioner. Those closest to me know about my failures, still surprisingly tell me how much they wished they could have my life. I was amazing in their eyes, even though my highest expectations had not quite been fulfilled. There was something intriguing about this, and I began to focus on that thought. As I did this, the revelation quickly came. It poured into my mind at lightning speed. Thought after thought of why events in my life hadn't happened or had happened the way that they did. What was I supposed to learn from this, and how could I help others learn? There was an important message to be heard, and as it was revealed to me, I knew I needed to share it publicly. The thought came, write a book. The next thought, louder than the first. This is your purpose as a writer. You have had these experiences, and you were given this talent for this very reason. As the hairs on my arm stood up, I call those my spirit bumps. I knew these thoughts were of a divine nature. For the first time in my life, I felt excited that things had not turned out the way I wanted to, so that I could be used for this purpose. Soon, the words began to pour into my mind of what I was supposed to say. The message of what I would write about flowed into my head, for a good 15 minutes. It was so much information, and I didn't want to forget it. I jumped out of the shower while it was still running and grabbed a pen and a paper. I wrote and wrote until 2 pages, both sides, were full of ink. With no room left to write, I jumped back in the shower and then tried to remember the last of the message. As soon as I had a chance to write it down, the revelation stopped. It was literally like the lights turned off and the message was complete. Was this really happening? And why? Who would want to read a book written by someone they had probably never heard of? People want to learn how to be successful, not be reminded about their failures. A voice came into my mind. Do it anyways. How could I argue with the Lord? Not fully understanding what his plan with this was, I knew that I was required to understand, sorry, not required to understand, just required to trust him and have faith that he knows more than I. Scripture, Psalms chapter 3, verse 5. Trust in the Lord with all thine heart and lean not unto thine own understanding. Looking back on this moment, I remember thinking about the sequel to my first book that I had just begun to write. By the way, I never did finish that sequel, just in case you're wondering. I believe that was a sequel to The Realm. Already a few chapters into it, I didn't want to have to put it on hold to begin another. Being a busy mom of 3 children under the age of 5 doesn't really allow a lot of time during the week to be writing books, if you want to maintain a clean house and your sanity. I don't like beginning new projects when I have unfinished ones waiting to be completed. However, I knew that if I were to try and finish writing my sequel, this message would be jumping up and down in the back of my conscience, urging me to let it out, thus interfering with my ability to focus on my sequel. I decided then and there that this message was top priority. As I looked over my scribbled thoughts for the first time, I realized the magnificence of this message. It began to make sense, and I smiled. Who knew that all of my dead end goals and heart sinking experiences were gearing me up to be the bearer of such a great message? I couldn't wait to get started. The world needed to hear this, and for my own therapeutic purposes, I needed to write about it. The Lord's hand was clearly visible in this ground shaking experience. I thought about all the nights I had lay awake in my bed dealing with my internal struggles of what I wanted to happen in my life versus the Lord's will. After all, I had righteous desires. I wanted to help other people, and I felt that I was a good person. My goals felt so right, and I had even prayed about them. So, when things seemed to head in the opposite direction of what I had anticipated, I began to think that there was something wrong with me. Was I misinterpreting personal revelation? Was I really out of tune with the Spirit? No and no. What I learned has literally moved mountains in my life. Now my story begins. Okay, that is the end of chapter 2. And I will get back on probably later this week because this seems pretty simple now that I have the hang of it. And we will dive into chapter 3. Chapter 3 is pretty long, so I didn't want to read that along with today's chapter 2. They need to be 2 separate videos. It's pretty long, but it starts to share some of those raw experiences. And these are experiences that I don't always mention. I think a lot of them I have never mentioned on my other YouTube channel, The Happy Lady. So, for those of you who found me over there, if you found me over there first and that's why you're over here, you might learn some new things about me. But yeah, I do have the comments in subscriber mode. So when I'm live, you'll only be able to ask questions and comment if you are a subscriber of this channel. I think that just helps weed out the comments that you don't want coming in when you're going live. And I think that's the reason I stopped doing live videos several years ago, was because I would have trolls come on as I was going live and they would say very inappropriate things. So We're not going there. We're not gonna do that. So I do have it set to subscribers only mode. But next time I get on, I would love to have a conversation with you guys. So if you have questions, if you have read this book and you're following along, or you've got the copy, I believe it is on Amazon, so you can get it on there. Um, I'm sure it's available in other places. I can't remember. It's been a while. I wrote this book in 2013, so it has been a long time. But I'm going to do some digging in my closet over here, and I think I do have some copies of this book. So let me know your thoughts. I thought it might be kind of fun if either throughout the weeks as we read these chapters, it would be fun to give away a book to whoever's interested. I don't know, maybe I'll just pick my favorite comment, and if you want one, I will happily ship a book to you. Or maybe we'll do something fun at the very end when we read the last chapter, and I will do a book giveaway or multiple book giveaways at that point. So, first, I have to make sure I do have some copies still, and we'll go from there. But thanks for joining me today, you guys. I'm so excited to get into this topic. It's something I'm very passionate about, and I've had a lot of life-changing experiences since I put this book out. So it will be fun to add to that each week as we read each chapter, and then also kind of give my final thoughts when we complete the book. So I would love to hear your thoughts. Please share your very shortly. I hope you guys are having a great day, and I will see you next time.